So this past weekend, I spent 2 straight days listening to Dr. Timothy Harlan, and he's an interesting MD for sure. He works at George Washington University, but he has a history of being involved with restaurants before he went to med school. So the topic of discussion for these 2 straight days was culinary medicine. So up to this point, I've never thought of myself as someone who should give advice on nutrition at all, but he says that as dentists, we should always be talking to our patients about what's best. So here goes. There's really a few things that I heard this weekend that were very interesting that I knew about, but they just pretty much reinforced my thoughts on it. And number one is that our ways of eating are completely backwards. That's why so many people are getting sick. And it's not just overeating, it's basically the actual components of the foods that we're eating. There's such a high percentage of the population that's eating at fast food restaurants. And even if it's not fast food restaurants, it's like chain restaurants like Olive Garden, P.F. Chang's, things like that, where these chains are using preservatives in a lot of the foods that they're getting in. So one of the number one things that he told us to tell our patients is avoid chain restaurants altogether and cook at home. And if you are going to go to a restaurant that's basically, there's a chef there, they're making the food from scratch, etc. And it makes total sense, because then he went on to show us packaging information of some of these foods and the number of chemicals and substances and preservatives that are included in these things are either carcinogenic or they're going to create other issues. And I think it's advice that I am definitely going to take myself. And I also used to think that, based on things that I would read, there's 3 macronutrients, okay? There's fats, there's proteins, and there's carbs. And I remember reading that the only 2 macronutrients that you need to live are proteins and fat. That makes sense. But then one of the things that I failed to pay enough attention to was the fact that carbs, at least in the form of fibrous, healthy, natural carbs, are needed to feed the bacteria in your gut. And guess what? Your gut is actually the primary component of your immune system. So I'm just putting all these pieces together and I'm thinking, wow, let's feed our muscles and do what we do, and feed our brain in the form of fats, because remember, our brain is mostly made up of fat, so we need fats. But we also have to pay attention to the bacteria in our gut that's helping us protect the rest of our body. So that's what I've learned this weekend. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but I will share with you the things that I do. I will work out at least 5 days a week, resistance training. I use heavy duty elastic bands that can promote heavy resistance. And I do no more than about 10 minutes every morning. And I don't look at exercise as an activity, I look at it as a prescription. So when I say I do 10 minutes, I'm doing 10 minutes to the point where I'm about to pass out at the end. Okay, so I'm really exerting myself to complete failure. As far as what I eat, I do eat a mainly high protein diet. I do eat meat. As far as the carbs, I limit or pretty much eliminate all simple carbs. And I stick to just these healthy carbs that are found in some fruits, not too many because there's a lot of sugar there, but vegetables, salads, things like that. And I try to eat fish at least twice a week, okay? The other things that he said that I thought were super interesting is that we're not gonna be able to get rid of processed foods. It seems to be a global necessity as our other food sources start to dwindle. So we're hoping that the world will start to re-engineer processed foods in a way that's healthier for all of us. That hasn't happened yet, but that's something that's one of the goals and one of the hopes that we have. So, these are just a few things that I do. Hopefully this at least has sparked some food for thought, and I am here anytime you need me for anything. as far as health. Thanks.